Hello and welcome to the channel. I hope you all are doing well. We are getting into part two of the Black Magic mini series. So, for part two, what we're going to get into is why some people use black magic. Okay, make sure that's on. All right. So, ultimately, it's an attempt to gain something that that person or the group of people who are doing it don't want to do the work, basically. We are all capable of operating from our divine energy. We're all capable of accessing things like universal abundance, unconditional love. We come from a place of unconditional love, and then through the human experience, we can experience it in the human realm as well. So it's a it's an attempt to by using black magic, it's kind of like a shortcut with major consequences ultimately. Let's see. People may go after another person with black magic basically because they want something you have. Your relationship, your money, your job, your status, your spiritual purpose, your spiritual gifts, your energy, your looks, your appearance. Um what have you. Maybe they like your car and they want your car and they don't want to do what's necessary, and so they're going to do some you know woo to try and get it. um I will be just a little side message throughout the rest of this series. We're going to get into kind of the more uncomfortable side of things, and with that I am going to probably throw in some little humor, try and break it up. That's something to remember when you're dealing with this stuff. If you can use humor and laugh, that's a way to alchemize and transmute energy. It's a very easy way to alchemize it. So if you can find the humor in it, which can be a challenge, but if you can find the humor in it, it will help to shift that energy a little bit. Ultimately, remind yourself that you're a sovereign divine being having a human experience. And with that, that comes with a certain amount of authority. We live in a free will universe. You have the authority to command your energy and your experience. And so remember that. And then we're going to get into it as the series goes on how to claim back your power fully. Okay. So why else will people use it? Naivety. That's another one. This is when we start to get into oh, what's that called? I guess you could say divination. I don't know if I can say that word on here. Uh, what's another synonym? It rhymes with obtuse, but it's AB. I don't know if I can say that word. Um, so basically what it is it's overusing divination. It's using divination tools, and I do have a video on this, so I'll do my best to remember to link it. Um, it's going against somebody's free will. Again, we're going back to free will. And it's using divination tools, tarot cards, oracle cards. It can even be muscle testing. It's when you're intentionally using a divination tool that you have at your disposal to pry into somebody else's life or experience without having their permission. Um, so that's where it can get kind of gray area-ish. Another one is love spells. That's a big one. And with that, it's doing a love spell of some sort that is intended to affect another human being without their permission. And so the way to just know that you're in the clear, so to speak, is to make sure if you are doing spells or something like that, make sure you're doing it on yourself and make sure it's open as far as if it involves another human. So let's say you want to do a love spell to increase love in your life. Then you want to focus on yourself and make yourself magnetic to love and to call in love. But you don't want to have a specific person in mind that you want to come in, because that's Again, that's when we get into free will. Um, Another one, and this is kind of more for those who are dabbling or really working with spells, things like that, is to just be mindful of your intention, and that's where the harm to none concept comes in. We'll get into that in the okay. We'll table that. The harm to none thing, we're going to table a little bit. Most of the time, if you're doing 99% of spells, rituals, anything like that, harm to none is a good rule to put out there for your intention. An example of this is a little side tangent here. If you're doing a love or not love, money spell, and you're like, I want money no matter, just no matter what kind of, and I'm doing a love or doing a money spell to call in money, and then you don't set that intention of like harm to none, and then somebody passes away and then you get an inheritance, that's when it can be, that's when you kind of get into the funky areas. So it's just set your intention clearly. Harm to none, basically. Okay. So the other thing, to get a little more nefarious, there are some people who use black magic as a vengeance tactic. Let's say you offend them and you don't even realize it, or you strike envy within them, right? You're just being you and you're showing up and being a friend, and there's something about you that this person's envious of. And, that sometimes is motivation for them to s- do black magic, basically. Um, Oftentimes, something to remember, okay? Because when you find out that you've been hit with this, that you're being affected by this, it can cause you a range of emotions, right? So if you're sitting there and you're just like, oh, okay, so I've been getting these subtle awarenesses, I've been drawn to content like this, um, and it's spirit really like, hey, you need to be aware of this. This is affecting you, and you in your human form need to be aware of this so that you can do things about it. It can strike a range of emotions. Okay, and I am speaking from experience. um the best thing to do, especially if it's somebody close to you, it can be devastating. It really can be. In my case, it was somebody who I thought was like a really good friend, and it strikes a lot of emotions. You can be anger, fear. It can be devastating. This is somebody that you thought was in your corner, and then you find out that they're, sending some nasty stuff your way. It can be very challenging. The best thing to do if you find out somebody, this is especially if you find out somebody in particular or a group of people in particular that are hitting you with this stuff. The thing to keep in mind is this is often from people who don't fully understand and know their own personal power. They are disconnected from their true sovereignty, from their true divinity in some form. They believe that they don't have the power within them to have what it is you have. Okay. And so that's just something to keep in mind. It can help you to navigate those waters of acceptance, maybe might be the right word. Um, and just be easy on yourself. And we'll talk a little bit more about the energy of acting from when you are getting ready to deal with this in a practical way. We'll talk a little bit more about that. So stay tuned. But just know that if you are in the process of fully seeing and realizing that people are hitting you with this stuff, just do your best to stay in your sovereignty. Allow yourself to feel those emotions, and then do your best to just zoom out a little bit and to see that they're not operating from a place of true connectedness within themselves. And that's a huge reason why they're doing this. And if it's somebody who's just vengeful and nefarious and all of that, it's really not somebody you wanted in your circle long term, anyways. And the other thing that I will say here, I'll probably say it again later, when we are in this position where we're getting hit with this stuff and then we come to the realization that we're being hit with it, oftentimes why we come into the awareness of it, it's not to strike fear, it's not to strike, it's not so that you operate from a place of anger or paranoia or anything like that. It's actually the opposite. It's from the spirit realm is saying, hey, or God, the divine universe, whoever it is you work with, um, they're coming in to say, hey, you are an awesome divine being. You have an energy about you in some way, shape, or form that others are wanting. And it's part of your initiation, basically, to be able to have this awareness and then remove yourself from it, protect yourself, and then allow in people around you who don't do this kind of thing. So that's just a little message for you. And I do empathize with you if you are going through this. Keep your head up. Just it we'll get into how you can navigate from the awareness into actually getting to a place where you are not being as affected by it. So stay tuned for that. And alrighty. Well, I will see you in part 3. Bye.